at Christmas time of 86, 87, and came down, worked with the team and that type of thing, and just
because he was the women's coach. And if I remember right, Hal Williams had started junior college basketball at Cumberland. Rick
took over for Benny.
Took over for Benny Jennings as it was going to a 4-year program.
Rick had actually, the year before, he had started the women's program at Brescia up in Owensboro.
Okay.
And Rick said he knew he had to get out of there when the nuns asked him, why do we have to buy leather basketballs? Why can't we buy rubber basketballs? So Rick I kind of see the writing on the wall here.
Yeah.
And so Woody and Miss Jenkins and Dean McKee hired Rick. And anyway, he was here that 1 year, and then he and I got back in touch, and he got me down here. And I started coaching softball, took over for John Flannery, and then they had to start the men's soccer program, and then my love was basketball.
Yeah.
That's what not that I knew anything, but that's one thing I felt comfortable. My dad was a high school basketball coach and that, so I helped Rick, and then I was here 2 years with Rick, and then he got the assistant's job at the University of Florida, and then I got to become the head coach. So none of this would have happened for me without Rick and, my connection.
Who's now at the University of Cumberland and having the time of his life.
Oh boy, wait till you see his team come to town, Tommy. He just signed those 2 twins from Clark Range.
Oh boy,
the 2 Monday girls, and he's got some talent. And
my wife Bobby Kay was an assistant coach for you.
Made me a lot smarter than what I actually was. She and Janie Guffey Molosky.
I got a story to tell about that here in a minute. But you liked recruiting that Upper Cumberland. There were some tough kids, and you liked those girls.
Yeah. When we got here, we were blessed. Benny left some good talent. He left Teresa Davis and Mary, rest in peace, Mary Tipton from that York AA state championship team those girls played on. And we also had some other Upper Cumberland girls, but those girls knew how to win. When you play for a Barry Smith, a Larry Looper, a Joe Sims, a Lamar Rogers, they're fundamentally sound. And those kids were good fits at Cumberland. It wasn't too big for them. And so, you didn't have to teach winning with a lot of them because they'd won. And they were fundamentally sound.
Good work ethic kids, I'm sure.
Same thing too. We had a handful of Mount Juliet girls. You get a girl that played for Tommy Martin and John Sims, a Sheila Canaday, a Wendy DeWitt. Those kids knew how to play. So that made your job easier, with getting those kind of kids. And like I say, they fit in, and just hard work and solve the earth kids.
There was a road trip to to Rhodes College, which was it Rhodes at the time?
Christian Brothers.
It was Christian Brothers. Yeah. It was in Memphis. There was a road trip to Memphis, and my wife Bobby Kay is one of your assistant coaches, and you guys had stopped in Jackson, I think, to eat before going on to Memphis for the game, and you got a phone call from the men's coach. There had been some sort of confusion in the contract, and instead of it being a 5 o'clock start, it was supposed to be like a 1 o'clock start, right? And you guys had to hightail it to Memphis, and it turns out at Christian Brothers it's homecoming, and the kids have been up into the beverages a little bit, and early
good Catholic school,
and early in that game you get a technical, and
did I?
And that's when I believe my wife kind of got hold of you.
That might have been the only time I heard Bobby Kay cuss me.
Said something to the effect of, "You better not get thrown out of this game and leave me here with this." The game was out of hand early. You had, and not just because she's my wife, but you had some good help. You had some college kids that came and helped you as an assistant coach through some of those years, and you guys had some pretty good teams.
Yeah, we were blessed, and we were doing that without a lot of the resources that some of the other schools in the conference had at that time.
Yeah.
Because you had Christian Brothers, Union, Belmont, Lipscomb.
Tough league.
Yeah, it was a very good league, and back then, the NAI was given 15 full rides in basketball, and we had 6.5. But, we made it work. It was I laugh because I went head-to-head with Tony Cross, rest in peace, Tony, down at Belmont a few times, and Tony'd walk him into the locker room, and there'd be Vince Gill and his wife.
Yeah, Amy Grant.
Amy Grant, and the same girl comes to visit Cumberland, and I'm handed a handful of scholarship apps. When you fill these out, and so I didn't win many recruiting battles there. But it was a good league. It was good basketball. You look at that time frame, Tommy. Belmont, Union, or Lipscomb were in the Final Four, and Union won the national championship that one year. It was just they were mid-major Division I teams. At that time, it was very good basketball.
Well, in Cumberland, right in the thick of it, I know you were coach of the year in that league at time, and had some good players that came through there. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk to Mitch some more about some of his radio gigs that he's had with Cumberland baseball and some of the other duties there at Cumberland as we talk about Mitch Walters, Assistant Athletic Director at Cumberland University. This is Coach's Night Out from Town Square Social. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. Coach's Night Out is the program. Town Square Social is the site. Advantage Roofing LLC, Advantage Roofing Contractors LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter, Kenny Salas and the hometown team of Keller Williams Realty, THW Insurance Services LLC, Cumberland University Athletics sponsor this program, make it possible, and you can watch this show. You can spread the word. It'll be on Lebanon Cable. It'll be on Wilson County TV. That airs Thursdays at 8:30, and again on Saturday and Sunday at 10 a.m. WCTV is the public educational government channel for Wilson County. You can find that at channel 198 on Charter, AT&T 99, and online at wilsoncounty.tv. Mitch Walters, again my guest, Assistant AD at Cumberland. He's going to be packing it in at the end of the semester and going off and living life the way he wants to and not have to be on the clock so much. You've done radio with Cumberland for 23 years, handling the radio broadcast. You started working, I think, with Lynn Bogle in the beginning. Was Bogle the first play-by-play guy you worked with?
And then Susie had me years ago when a 98.9 covered Lebanon High basketball. I did some work with Clyde Harville in the postseason.
Okay.
And but with the radio, I'll let you. But Tommy, you were I had some good mentors. Clyde, you, and Lynn Bogle, and so I had some good training, and
Well, I appreciate that. You've always talked about your love for basketball, but you love baseball.
Yeah.
There's no question about that.
I have a hard time watching Major League Baseball now, but I have a passion.
Grew
for
up
it.
a Pirates fan.
Yep.
That's why you and Benny Jennings got along so well. But you hooked up with Bogle to do the Cumberland games on the radio. Eventually, Lynn went on to do other things. You inherited that number one seat in the press box. And it has been quite a ride. You are a wealth of information about all these guys that have played at Cumberland. You don't refer to a notebook. You've got it all up in here.
Well, they never threw any academic money my way when I was in college, so I couldn't remember the schoolwork, but stuff like that, for some reason, useless information. And not that it's useless, but you could remember it, and just blessed. I was thinking today, Tommy, probably yourself, Woody, JoJo, and now Kyle Allen's learning, but know more about the history of Cumberland athletics than anybody in this town, just because you grew up with it.
Well,
Woody being there for so long, and JoJo just, researched it in the time that he was there, and so.
Well, G. Frank Burns passed away. And
I used to have him come. I taught history of sport, and Dr. Burns, I'd have him come in and talk about Cumberland sport history every year.
He was kind of my mentor and kind of lit the fire for me to hang on and retain some of this stuff. But your encyclopedic knowledge of these guys, and you've developed quite an audience on the internet side of the broadcast. These guys get back in touch with you and let you know by way of text or email that they're listening. There's a lot of old Cumberland guys listening on the radio.
Yesterday, Tommy, was a great day. In the morning, I called Greg Gerlin.
Okay.
And Greg's he started a national championship game for us against Bellevue in 1995 out in Sioux City. But Greg was a very good left-hand pitcher for us. No, he was a head case, and Greg would admit that. But just had such a good. He's a pitching coach at Lakeland Community College in Cleveland. Mike Humiston is how we got Greg.
Okay.
Our connection there with all those guys. You know a lot of them, Tommy. But Greg was just so complimentary of Woody and what the effect the program had on him, not baseball wise, but just growing up as a young man and that. And it was just so good to talk to Greg yesterday. But then yesterday at lunchtime, Woody and I went to lunch with Scrappy, Vladimir Munoz, Mike Minkle, Chuck McFarland, and Josh Underhill and his son. And, those guys are all on that 2004, our first national championship team. And it was just, it's good because you're starting to see Coach drop his guard a little bit and smell the roses. Because, Woody, until, he'd never do that. He's always looking ahead. But it's good now, some of these gatherings we've had over the last couple of years. But, just to see those guys and stay in contact. And like you say, during baseball season, a lot of the alumni, contact us and that type of thing. Just been blessed to do it.
You've seen some amazing games, and you've been in the press box calling the game for 3 national championships and maybe 1 or 2 that got away from us.
Yeah. Well, Tommy, 90-91, we had some awful good offensive teams, but we didn't have the arms for whatever reason. And, we were a couple pitches away in 95 when we lost in a national championship game. In 96, we go back and, end up 3rd in the country. That 98 team was Stiegel and Mandelbaum and Hermoso and Mark Connor.
They could hit.
If we lost Mike Dutton, we lost Sandy Roga, we lost Terry Allgaier, 3 of our key arms. And if we would have had the arms that year, no telling, because that bunch, they were so good offensively. Then, the 2006 game when we lost to Lewis and Clark, you had different teams for years that could have won it if things happened right. But, those 3 teams that we won it with, the 2004 team went through a lot of adversity for different, throughout the course of the year, injuries and that. And same thing with the 2014 team. But you've been around athletics all your life, Tommy. Woody's, 40-some years? And to me, 2010 was the only season where everything went right. We didn't have injuries. If we needed something to happen, it happened.
That team was a murderer's row.
Yeah.
No telling how many home runs that bunch hit. You probably remember the number.
156, 158.
They bludgeoned people.
Yeah.
And I think, I could have thrown a couple of innings for those guys with a 14-run lead.
I remember Wilkerson and Schaefer and Robert Post and, Sprague saying, you knew you could make a mistake or 2.
Yeah.
Because the offense was you're going to have runs on the board. If you could hold them 3 or 4 runs.
That had to be a lot of fun. Working radio for those games.
Well, you called games with us that year.
Had some games we'd
the
go
dog in a little hut up to Mid-Continent.
We go to Mid-Continent, which looks like a rec field, okay? And they've got what I refer to as like a snow cone booth behind home plate. It's a very small little. They don't have a press box. It's like something you'd sell lemonade out of.
It worked though.
It had a little roof on it. Had a couple of chairs and a door, and we've got everything set up. And then at some point, the campus dog, this yellow hound dog, comes in there and lays down right there at Mitch's feet. And Mitch is what? I said, well, you're probably in his seat. But we had some road trips. Lyon College, I remember, was one we went to. Kind of some different places, but it was a lot of fun following those guys just because you knew every night you went out, every day you went out there, you might see something special.
Yeah, and like I say, very, very, very talented. And again, the 2004, you don't want to ever say one's better than the other.
Yeah.
But Woody and I have talked before. It would have been neat to have those three teams and like have them each play a 7-game series against each other, just to kind of see how things would turn out. But they were all very talented teams. And you look at the guys on that. Those teams had 4, 5, 6, 7 guys who went on and played pro ball. And so.
It's changed somewhat from those days because I think the higher division schools are now hitting some of the same recruiting areas that Coach Hunt had hit for years.
Yep.
And Coach was getting a lot of these JCs and some Division I drop downs and that sort of thing.
You look, Tommy, that's one thing I've seen through the years with baseball. When I first got down here, your top programs, Oak City, Lewis Clark, some of the same ones, Bellevue, Lubbock, Dallas Baptist was NAIA back then, Grand Canyon, they were on the front of it, along with Woody, of getting those JUCO kids, those D1s. And when we play, like Cumberland, Kentucky back then, or Campbellsville, they had all local kids.
Right.
And you look now at all those schools, it's all loaded with JUCO kids and transfers and that. So, Woody kind of, and a lot of the coaches, NAIA coaches, they'll say, we patterned our program, recruiting-wise, saw that we needed to go out and get these kind of kids. And it's so, sometimes I think people wonder why we didn't recruit more local kids. Well, look at the number of colleges in Middle Tennessee and, some good baseball programs.
Right.
You go back to Coach Dugan's days, Coach Witten's days down at Belmont.
Trevecca had a good run.
Yeah, Trevecca with Elliott,
Yeah.
and then Austin P and that type of thing. Going after the same. We couldn't go after the same kids with them, head to head. Now some of those kids we got on the rebound,
right,
and that type of thing. But like I say, you've seen so many of the good programs, kind of with what Coach did early on.
You have served a role, Cumberland, kind of being that extra set of years to the players, to assistant coaches, somebody that Coach Hunt could dump a lot on emotionally, and those long car rides going to the games, maybe driving, Coach.
Yeah.
You've been right there at the heartbeat of this whole deal.
As I told those boys yesterday at lunch, if you only knew the amount of interference I ran for you boys through the years, and which all worth it.
Yeah.
All worth it. And but yeah, it's so blessed, Tommy. Till about 6 or 8 years ago, spent a lot of time with Woody recruiting. Getting him to Florida, getting him to Texas,
right,
or Iowa, wherever we needed to go, and just enjoyable, to be in. I'd love to get in the front seat of the car again. And Coach, we're going to Lubbock to the JUCO showcase, and just the people we've been able to meet through the years with that, and just wouldn't trade it for anything.
Have you looked forward to this time here at when the semester runs out in December?
Yes. Yeah.
Talk about your plans, how you've looked forward to this.
Well, like I said, the last spring was the first time in 33 years I had weekends off in the spring, and not complaining.
Right.
Enjoyed what we did, and, but just you deal with. We were talking when we first got. When I got here, Tommy, we had 6 sports: baseball, softball, men's, women's basketball, men's and women's tennis. We have 29 sports now, close to 600 athletes.
And the student body makes up a good percentage.
Yes.
It's made up of athletes.
Yes. What you've seen, especially over the last 10 years, small college, NAIA Division II, their athletic departments have turned into a key part of the admissions department, because you can get because you're giving student athletes the opportunity to play, you're scholarshiping them, some, and so it's just turned into a major extension of the admissions office, and it's a pot that those schools can. Pot of money those schools know you're going to have each year, and so it's changed so much that way, and seen a difference. And I'm not being negative or anything, but just on a difference in the last 6-7 years in the kids. All this travel ball, and all that type of thing, and started to see parents get involved instead of if I signed Bobby K. Bryan to come play basketball for me, I was going to sit there, and Bobby K. and I were going to. I would tell parents when I recruited their daughters, I'm not trying to be rude or that, but from this point on, our dealings, if we have issues, is between your daughter and me. Now, if
Yeah.
it's something serious, yes, we get a hold of
Right.
you, but you're not gonna, you know, and that was good because the parents trusted you.
Right.
And, you know, to me, a big part of this, get your education, use your athletic ability and your sport as a means to an end, to get to where you have a career. And so, you know, that was our goal there, but also, you know, young men, young women going from being kids to becoming a woman or a young male. That was a big part of it. And you don't see so much of that now. You know, it's kind of like, it's okay. You know, everything you do, no, everything you don't do, you know, it is okay. And you've been around athletics, Tommy, and you hear all the time, it's got to be fun. It's got to be fun. Well, there's parts to the process that aren't always fun.
It's work.
Yes, and you got to, you're dealing with adversity, that's good and that, but you got to learn to get through those, I think, too, you know, to get to where you want to go, you know, in life, not just sports and that. So it's changed, and so it's kind of wore me out a little bit. And so I'm ready to, and I just, a biology professor of ours, Dr. Danny Bryan, rattlesnake man.
Right, right.
Yep, Danny, he had a place up to Smithville, and I bought that and moved from Swindle Hollow up Tucker's Crossroads, and just going to kind of do some things I want to do.
Will you come around the ball games every now and then, or?
Some. Woody's asked me to come back and call one game this spring,
Yeah.
and I'll do that for him, but I just kind of want to step back. You know, if do come, I want to stand down the right field line or left field line there and lean against the fence and actually watch a ball game to where you're not, you
Yeah.
know what it's like to broadcast.
Oh, sure.
You know, but it's all been well worth it, but just now to be able to do some things I haven't been able to do. And my dad's still alive and in good health and up in Pennsylvania, so, you know, I need to spend more time with him because he's 82 years old now and that. So.
Well, you have earned, as I said in the beginning, so few of us in this gig get a chance to orchestrate our own exit, and I'm proud that you're able to do it. And you've touched a lot of lives, handling some of the academic advising for these athletes as they come through. We've produced law enforcement officers, eye doctors, medical doctors, lawyers, successful business people,
Principals,
educators. How many coaches have come through Cumberland University athletics, and not just strictly baseball. We got one that'll be on here in the second part of the show who is a product of Cumberland University.
One you remember, Tommy, but when I first, Denise Osborne.
Yeah, Ozzy.
Ozzy.
Right.
Ozzy left us, got her EMT, then went on.
Metro Nashville.
Yep, she's a McGavick kid, and but she went on, just retired as a firefighter in Charlotte, North Carolina. But she's been in the Air Force Reserve now, been over in Afghanistan 2 or 3 times, and but you know, things like that.
Sure.
Just, you know, you see those kids go on and be successful like that, and you saw it in them when you were working with them. You know, you didn't know what they're going to do exactly, but you saw the potential and the ability these kids had. And I always felt that was our job, you know, to mentor them. And you know, I think sometimes you need to tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. Because I think a lot of them, especially now that we're in, you know, all this travel ball, and, you know, mom and dad are paying money, so that coach is going to tell you what you want to hear, as opposed to sometimes what you need to hear. And but you know, it's like I say, we've had so many of the kids go on and be successful.
You got a quick Chuck Gentry story before you get going.
Yeah,
Chuck's following you here on the show.
Chuck was there when he started football. And great bunch of guys. Still stay in touch with a lot of them. I talked to Cheech Oslands the other day in Chaton, and we're, you know, kind of reconnecting to those kids. And Bobby Kate, we're going to have a gathering with the basketball girls out to the house, and you guys are coming. But anyway, what were we talking about?
Talking about Chuck and football.
Yes. Well, we had a bunch of Smith County boys that came down. Mike D, Scott Murray, Jamie Angel, Scott Clemens, Harville, you know, Jamie Kelly.
Outstanding human beings.
Oh, they were. You know, they weren't choir boys, but I want some guys with a little piss and vinegar in them. You don't win championships with choir boys. Sorry, folks. But anyway, I could see the passion in Chuck.
Yeah.
You know, and Chuck was one of those guys that maybe wasn't on the field as much as he would have liked, but, you know, Chuck, he had just soaked it all in. And he was a student assistant for us. And I'd see Chuck, he'd be there in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. At night, he'd be washing practice gear and breaking down film. Well, we had some dudes there then. We had a couple guys that transferred in there from Louisiana, New Orleans, that were at San Diego State. For whatever reason, they end up in Lebanon.
Yeah.
We had a guy named Robert Smith, top. He was on SEC all freshman team linebacker at South Carolina. Got in some trouble there. Came down and played for Boots, and Boots asked him to leave. And
Yeah.
Robert ended up with us. But anyway, one day out there at practice, I look over there and just all this. And so you've been around football. You're going to have fights at football practice. Nobody's going to get hurt. They got their helmet on. And these are some big guys going. And here comes Chuck just out of the blue. And he wasn't as big as he was now. He moved a little quicker, too. But Chuck got in between them, and he looked like a pinball, just being bounced around. And finally, Chuck kind of comes bouncing on, the fight's over, and, everything. We go back. I saw Chuck the next day, and I said, Chuck, I don't know if that was your best move going in there. And he just kind of, you might be right, Coach. But you can see the passion in Chuck. And I'm so proud of Chuck and all these other guys that we've had that have gone into coaching and been successful. But I know, Tommy, because I've listened to you and Bob and Terry religiously on Friday nights. I enjoy that so much and look forward to it. But the passion Chuck has brought back to Lebanon High Blue Devil football, and to bring the program back and get alumni back involved, that type of thing. And if I had a son who had the ability to play high school football, I'd want him to play for Chuck Gentry.
Well, that's high praise indeed.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for this segment of the show. Mitch, thank you for being here. Thank you for all your years of service to Cumberland. And again, lead that parade when you get out of when it's time to leave that campus. You've earned it, pal.
I'm going to walk away. So,
all right.
Thank you, Tommy. Thanks for all you do for Wilson County Athletics and for what you've done for Cumberland through the years.
I appreciate that. Mitch Walters, Assistant Athletic Director at Cumberland University, my guest on the first part of the show. Coaches Night Out live from Town Square Social. I'll be back right after this. Thanks for staying with us. Coaches Night Out live from Town Square Social. Thanks to Kyle and Cody for letting us have this space up here to have the program each week. My sponsors, Advantage Roofing Contractors, LLC, Donnie Self and Rob Painter. Kenny Salas, the hometown team, Keller Williams Realty, THW Insurance Services, LLC, and Cumberland University Athletics. Don't forget the high school schedule coming up on Friday night, a very light schedule because of fall break. Mount Juliet Christian goes to Bell Buckle to play the Webb School. Wilson Central will be at Laverne. York Institute will be at Green Hill. So Green Hill is the only home game that we've got coming up this weekend. Couple of things I want to get out of the way. Lebanon and Green Hill are playing right now in the district volleyball finals. Green Hill upset upset Wilson Central to get to the finals. Lebanon, the 1 seed. Both Lebanon and Green Hill will go on to the regionals. And congratulations to a young lady I covered back in 03, 04, 05, Alicia Clark, graduate at Mount Juliet High School, 2005 graduate, former Tennessee Miss Basketball. She led 2 different basketball teams, Belmont and Middle Tennessee State, in scoring, led the nation in scoring at Middle Tennessee State, was Player of the Year in 2 different conferences. Alicia picked up another WNBA championship last night as her Seattle Storm swept Las Vegas in the finals. They were kind of quarantined down at Bradenton, Florida in the WNBA bubble, and congratulations to Alicia Clark. I would say she's the best athlete I've ever seen come out of Mount Juliet High School, male, female. She could play, and she has had a great career both in Europe and in the WNBA. Chuck Gentry, head coach of Lebanon High School, with me here on the second portion of the show. And Chuck, Lebanon's not playing this week. You gave those birds some time off. How are you enjoying the ability to sit back and take a deep breath a little bit?
Well, my nap game is getting better.
Good.
And today I had to do some of the honeydew list, so I'm a little sore because I had to mulch and trim shrubs and all that stuff. But I've enjoyed the week, been able to take my girls to school, pick them up, and do dad stuff, I guess you could say. And then, I've rested when I could, and then watched some film and some football, of course, and just enjoying getting away just a little bit.
You're going to see your daughter cheer Friday night because she's a Smith County cheerleader, right?
Right. Yeah, they play at home and plan on being about 5th row right in front of the cheerleaders.
It's a balance, isn't it? I mean, you've got your family, and maybe there have been other coaches who have done this and other folks that have had good success. Maybe living somewhere besides Lebanon has been a good thing for you because you got your family life, your church life, all that in Smith County, and you come down here and you're Chuck Gentry, the head football coach.
Well, it's different. There's things that I have to miss on both ends that sometimes you don't want to miss, but it's good when I cross the county line. I put on one hat, and when I cross it again, I flip that hat off and put on another. But it's been good to be able to try to balance those things, and it's been lucky enough to be able to see her cheer a couple of times this year.
Will your assistant coaches be going to games on Friday nights? Because there are games still to be played in the season. You got Stewart's Creek, you got Central, you've got Rossview left in the regular season. Are guys going to go out and see some of those?
There will be some that go out. We don't make anything specific or assign anything, but they're football coaches, and so I was talking to one on the way down here and saying, well, he said he might go to one, and then another one this morning said he might go to another. So we try not to double dip, but we will fan out if they're going and make sure we've got people with eyes on different games.
Things have changed so much in the last several years. I used to host that coaches breakfast on Saturday mornings at Shoney's, and that was the place to come swap videotapes for the opponents, because if I'm playing you and then on the following Friday, on Saturday, we'll meet and I'll give you 2 game films, you'll give me 2, and it would be that swap. But now with Huddle, this online computerized system where your games are up there, and if you agree to swap, you just push buttons and there it goes. There's not all that intrigue involved anymore, is it?
Well, I got into coaching right on the end of that, and I didn't mind the Waffle House meetings and the Shoney's meetings for the camaraderie and the sit down and eat. But it is much easier to just text them and say, "Hey, film's up," and it's there, and the time and effort and the energy to dub tapes or copy DVDs with the technology is great, but also it can be frustrating. But it's good to have it and not have to do some of the stuff that used to do in my younger days. But it's a different time. But like if you want film on somebody, you can get it just about, and there are no secrets. So but it's good to be able to not have to say, all right, I have to be at, say, Wilson Central Laverne on Friday night, because we'll probably get it at some point and see it anyway. You used to not could do that. So if you got a chance to go see somebody, you wanted to lay eyes on them.
Well, guys, I've been doing what I do for 40-something years, and I would travel sometimes with either the Castle Heights coaches or the Lebanon coaches when they'd go to Nashville to take that unprocessed film to Sir Cecil. Now, some of you folks won't know who Sir Cecil is. Russ something, who worked for Channel 4 in Nashville, was their film guy, and he had a lab in the basement of his house, and he would process game film for all these coaches. And that's before internet, and the only way you knew scores, there was a chalkboard outside Sir Cecil's house, and that people would write their scores up and then drop the film off, and so people could find out what the scores were. And I remember one night a Lebanon coaching staff at the end of the regular season, when things hadn't gone so well, a film got thrown out of the car on the way to Nashville, and they wound up not making it to Sir Cecil's house. But it's interesting how technology has changed this now, because I had a picture in the paper on Wednesday of Coach Fry, your defensive coordinator, showing something on the iPad to one of his defensive linemen, that you've got the camera and the immediate accessibility to those films, and to take a quick look at, you can show them what they're doing.
Well, we pay a lot of money for that huddle stuff and the huddle sideline, and like I say, when it works, it's great. They keep iPads away from me on the sideline if they're not working, because they don't want me to know that they're not working. And then sometimes I'll turn around and be handed 2 or 3. But it's wonderful to have. It's for instance, we'll go back to Fairview.
Okay.
Jalen Abston, in the first half, we called 4 verticals, and we had it wide open for a touchdown, missed it. Coach Brady showed it to him on the huddle sideline. At halftime, I go in there and show him and say, this is your read, this is the look you're going to get, should be a touchdown. Later on in the third quarter, 3-step drop on time, throws
boom,
it,
touchdown.
And that's neat to see, where he can, the affirmation of, all right, show me.
Yeah.
Show me. Well, I didn't see it that way. Well, here it is. This is what we see. This is what you should see, and go. And also, who are we not blocking? Who is not?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question.
Why did we get hit as soon as he catches the ball trying to throw a screen pass? And you can go back and get that, and boom, it's right there.
So that way, the guilty party, Bill Robinson used to tell me, the eye in the sky don't lie. Well, that end zone shot, the sideline shot, all that's available, and you show them right there.
Well, we talk about a immediate gratification society.
Yeah.
And we're spoiled as coaches, because I want to know what happened. 10 years ago, as soon as the game was over, my wife, kids leave or gone, I'm in there and I'm watching that thing play by play by play by play. Well, now, in between plays, if I want to know the answer to the question, I can go find it.
Yeah.
Or I say, find me the post wheel, and Coach Brady hands it to me. Or I ask Coach Angel, what's happening?
Well, you've got a guy on the sideline next to you who's charting the plays you call, so that you know what was the third play of that series. Mm-hmm. Well, I've got it right here.
Yeah, and it, and all that gets put in, and we can self-scout with a click of a few buttons, and it's wonderful to have, and it's neat, and it can take you as deep as you want to go, and also reveal some things that you didn't know. So it's good to have, and for the kids to be able to see immediately, it really helps.
You had a 44-0 homecoming win over Station Camp last week. I've gone blank. over Station Camp last week, and I was talking to Terry Stafford, who's done the stats for us for 100 years, and Terry said that was he said this was a game that Lebanon was supposed to win, and Lebanon went out and took care of business and handled it. That's big. You had somebody that you kind of had outmatched, and you went out and took care of business, and you won the football game big, and everybody got to play.
Yeah, well, homecoming, good to win, great for a shutout. Everybody gets to play. Mama and daddies are happy, grannies are happy, and we get to go on fall break. So it all ended well. And that's what we told our kids, with the internet and stuff, you can't make, Coach Fry was telling me, you need to tell them one of them stories like you used to tell me in junior high. Well, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Back then he didn't know what Jackson County's tailback, he was telling a story that I said the tailback got off the bus, said he's going to rush for 200 yards in a junior high game, and, and getting them fired up. He said, you need to tell one of them stories. And I said, well, I've told them the truth all week. They're 0-6, have given up a lot of points, haven't scored a lot of points, but I'm not worried about them. I'm worried about us.
Yeah.
And I was worried about us, and I challenged at halftime of the Fairview game, who are we? Because I don't know. Some days we're pretty good, some days we're pretty bad, some days we're in between, some days we play like our hair's on fire and it means everything to us. Some days it's like, let's get this over with. And so I challenged them, who are we? And then so I challenged them at the first, who are we? If you're the team that you're supposed to be, you don't let teams like this hang around.
Yeah.
You snap and you put normally we defer to the second half. I even thought about, let's take the ball. But I didn't, and we got a quick turnover, scored, got another quick turnover and hit a big play, and and then we hit another one, just bang, 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 and it was rolling downhill from there. But we still didn't play clean. We had an interception in the red zone. We had another probably 60-yard pass play dropped right in their hands where we're behind the secondary, and then
100 yards in penalties.
100 yards in penalties. 15 of those are on me because of the halftime homecoming festivities, and we all went on the field at the right time because they told me it was going to be over a little bit different than it was,
yeah.
and I thought we had time, but it is what it is, and but we have to clean the penalties up for sure, and some of them we're playing hard, and some of them I don't know if they're called or not, but it's going to happen in ball games. But you can't have the pre-snap and the post-snap penalties. Anything in the middle we can talk about, but the pre and the post can't happen. And for the most part, we've been better post-snap, but pre-snap we're still committing some.
There were a couple of catches by those receivers that really stick out to me. One of them, Ricardus Beasley made one on the far sideline that Bobby Kay happened to get a great picture of, where he's wrestled the ball away from the defender for a big 35-yard reception. And Ricardus is a guy who's overcome a lot injury-wise because of an automobile accident.
I say it once a week, if he hadn't got hurt.
Yeah.
If he hadn't got hurt. And he's doing the best he can and is still a really good football player. But he had a chance to be amazing because he has such great body control and ball skills, and he's still pretty athletic, even though he's got a little limp and a rod in his thigh. But he has sure hands, and we haven't thrown it up to him, and Jalen actually checked that because we had a stop route called. They come up in our face and they communicated, and I said, and it was like 2nd and 1 or something.
Yeah.
And I said, he's throwing it up. And they said, no, he's not. I said, yes, he is. I said, he's checked. I said, because, and that's a funny story. I told the defensive coaches, I looked around in the field house the other night. All the offensive coaches were gone, but me, and I told all the defensive coaches, hey, remind me not to forget to make sure that they make that check.
Yeah.
And the very first play on Thursday, we threw the stop route into press coverage, and the guy almost picks it and knocks it down. And, of course, I'm yelling and a little animated because it's the first play of practice. And Coach Williams, after I get through, says, Coach Gentry, don't throw the stop route into press coverage. And he said, I didn't really want to tell you that, but you told us to remind you. And so we got it worked, and that's, sign of maturity on Jalen's part to be able to recognize the coverage and know this is where I should go with the ball, and then drop it in there and Ricardus to go get it.
Jared Hall made a one-handed diving catch down to the 1 yard line. That was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Well, he Thursday in practice, before we started, made one of the best catches that I've ever seen personally with my own eyes. They were out there running routes one-on-one and getting ready to practice. And somebody threw one up, and he jumped and grabbed one behind his head one-handed and hauled it in. And I was like, wow. And Coach Foster said, yeah, he just did that. And Jared has got a lot of potential, and we're glad to have him out playing football. He's a basketball guy, loves basketball, and
he seems to really like football.
He's best friends with Jalen and wanted to play, and family had some reservations because of injury in basketball, and we worked through all that, and he's done good for us, and he caught 2 others. He led us in receptions, and we after a turnover threw a post route, and he went and laid out and extended and got it.
And you can't teach that.
No.
I mean, that's just
no. That wasn't any.
You don't have a drill lined up for guys to go out one-handed and dive and try to catch footballs.
No, we tell them to attack the football and go get it, but that's just athletic ability and natural God-given talent and the want to. You got to. Some of those times selling out's not fun, but his 6'6" to 6'8", however big he is, laid out there and got the ball and made a nice catch.
Defensively, your kids really played well. Swarmed to the football, put a lot of helmets on those station camp ball carriers, knocked some balls loose. You had a freshman pick off KK West pick off a pass on the final play of the game. Defensively, much better, it seemed like.
We've been playing good on defense, except for a fit here or a fit there, or a missed tackle here or a missed tackle there. Well, the next thing you know, you've given up 21 points on 3 bad plays.
Yeah.
And had trouble getting off on 3rd down, and we've been working different people, different places, different things, trying to settle in on what is best. And, we preach running to the football, getting hats on the ball, and all that stuff, and we felt like all year we've done that. We just haven't put it all together at every position at the right time. And hopefully now going forward that we'll get a little confidence. And, it's anytime you shut somebody out, it's good, especially the way the people are doing offensively these days and with RPOs and, checking at the line and all the stuff. It's hard to play defense. And to be able to shut somebody out for the first time was good. Hopefully give us some confidence. And we got 3 big games coming up and 3 really good offenses.
Well, and you've got, it seems like maybe a different challenge in each of those because I don't know what Stewart's Creek has got. I know that Central wants to run the ball first. Rossview has had a couple of really good games here at the tail end of the season. Knocked off Mount Juliet up there, one of the biggest upsets in the region so far this year. No cakewalks the rest of the way, Chuck.
No, it's go time, and we'll hopefully the bye week and the rest come at a good time, and we'll be able to rejuvenate and be able to stack games on top of each other like we've wanted to, and to keep getting better and like we've talked about, eliminate turnovers, eliminate penalties, play good defense, and get better in the kicking game and see where we end up because nothing's promised, and we could be out of the playoffs or we could be, depending on how 2020 goes, who knows.
It has been a challenge from the jump, hasn't it, this year?
It's different. It's been different, day by day basis, week by week basis, scheduling, changing, you just got to adapt and roll with the punches. And, like I told you last week, the bye week for me came at a good time because I was tired, just the mental drain of it. But I'm just glad we're getting to play, have been getting to play, and hopefully we can stay healthy enough and be able to finish it out and see what happens, because that's all we wanted was a chance to play, and we've gotten that, and hopefully we'll continue to get that and be able to make the best of our opportunities.
Chuck, thanks for the visit as always. I appreciate it. I guess you'll get everybody back in on how are you going to handle the weekend? Because normally coaches meet maybe on Saturday. What's the plan?
We won't meet because we've got people everywhere, but with Zoom we meet anyway.
Okay.
So the technology again, we will meet, and phone calls and text messages, and like I say, I'd spent 20 minutes on the phone on the way down here, meeting and talking and doing. So we won't have our normal, but then we'll be back in Monday and get going, and we'll practice a little longer this week for being off last week. And so usually at this time of year we get enough with the way we used to do it, come in, give them Monday off, Friday off, and have 3 practices of 2 hours, 6 hours. We get almost all of that back in the week, and so hopefully it won't look too sloppy or like we haven't practiced.
Again, Chuck Gentry, head coach of the Blue Devils, with me here on Coach's Night Out. Thanks for the visit as always, my friend.
Thanks, Tommy.
Appreciate it. Town Square Social is awfully gracious to let us have this spot. Cody, Kyle, thank you. This week, Friday, October the 9th, Mount Juliet Christian Academy will be at the Webb School. Wilson Central will be at Laverne, and the only home game will be York Institute, the Dragons, playing at Green Hill on Friday night on the Hill, WCTV. Thanks, Dakota, Aaron, Keisha. Nice to have you with us here tonight. Hope you enjoyed the fried pickles. I'm Tommy Bryan. I'll talk to you later.